Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 100. Can't believe we've hit 100. This is crazy. Tonight on the cast, we're going to be talking about episode 2 of Secret Invasion. We're going to be breaking it down, and we're going to be talking about any other nerdy news from the week. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us for 100 episodes. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, let's do it. Myself and Alex on the cast tonight. So without further ado, here we go. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Happy 100.
Yeah, it's
a big
been
one.
quite a while.
It's a big one.
I don't even remember when I first got on.
I actually was only trying to think of that the other day. I think it was around like episode 16 or something like that. So like you've been here like nearly since the start.
Nearly the
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like I didn't know what to do. I was gonna try and ask some people, like some old hosts, to come back on for episode 100, but I thought, like, it's kind of just in the middle of a show review, and I thought maybe maybe not. Like,
right.
Maybe we'll do it for 200 or something, because I truly believe we'll get there as well. So yeah, how was the week for you, dude?
Just busy, man. Just busy. Been on call this whole time, and like haven't even had a wink of like video gaming. And to be completely honest, like I've been having a lot of fun, like watching stuff with Katie. Like we're still like pushing forward on One Piece. She's already almost at episode 400.
Wow.
So like It's just been a long ass journey.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I watching a few bits this week as well myself. Finished The Bear season 2,
Nice.
which was a masterpiece. Absolutely incredible. 10 out of 10. Like, cannot express how much I love that show. It was amazing. Like season 1 was really good. I really enjoyed season 1, so I was going to jump back into season 2 no matter what. Then I started seeing stuff like, that the second season was like the ratings were up 70%, and it was like one of the episodes, which is a Christmas episode. If anyone has seen the show, they know exactly what episode I'm talking about. Like it's sitting on a 9.8 on IMDb. Like, it's incredible. So it's amazing. It's amazing. They had loads of it, like really, really cool cameos this season as well. Like me and my girlfriend kept looking at each other, just going, "How did they get them to be in it?" Like, I was like, "What the hell? Like, how is this show doing this?" Like, it was just fucking wild.
Yeah,
absolutely wild. Yeah, it was incredible. So highly recommend. I think it's on Hulu for you guys over there. But yeah, so good.
Dude, you know what I've been looking for everywhere that I just absolutely can't find, and I'm probably gonna have to pull it up on eBay. Like, it's Planet Hulk. I can't I can't find like a physical copy from Best Buy. I can't find it like at Walmart. Can't find it anywhere. It's just it's gone. It's off the face of the earth.
So I've been trying to get a copy of it, and I'm not obtaining this copy of this movie legally, but I have no other choice. So
yeah, because like you can't find it anywhere.
I found it, but it's like nobody's sharing it. So I'm trying to torrent it, and it's been sitting on like 54% for like 4 days.
Wow.
So that'll even show you. Like, people aren't even torrenting it.
I don't know why, dude. Like, it's probably one of the. Yeah,
I'll get it.
Like,
I will get it.
I found some Reddit posts. I found some Reddit posts too about it. They're like, "Where the fuck do you find it? Like, how do I get this?" And they're like, "You have to buy it physically." And it's like, where?
Where the fuck? Is it not on like Apple or anything like that?
No, it's nowhere. And if you find it like on that system, like it's gonna be like, it's not available at this time.
Oh wow, okay, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm watching The Witcher as well, season 3. I'm only watching it for the sole purpose. Well, sorry, I'm a big Henry Cavill fan, as you know, so I'm watching it kind of for Henry. I know it's his last season. A lot of people aren't watching it for that fact, because they announced that he's leaving before the end of the show, and like the show's going to go on without him. They've cast Liam Hemsworth as the replacement for him. So people are kind of like, fuck this. Like, it's stupid. Why would I bother? But I'm watching it for 2 reasons. I love Henry Cavill. And second reason is a friend of mine's in episode 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to be watching it just to kind of see him. And like, he's been listed in the credits at the end and all, which is pretty sweet. So,
nice.
Yeah, this is the dude we're going to have on the cast soon. I was chatting to him as well, and he was saying that he'll come on when The Witcher's said and done. So that'll be probably the end of July. I would say the last 3 episodes, I think, are airing on the 27th of July or something like that. So we'll get him on the kind of week after that, whatever date that is, which would be cool. It'd be cool to have him on, like, because he's done like some really cool stuff. He's been in Star Wars projects, MCU projects. He's got some Sony stuff in the works for Sony, like Marvel stuff. And then obviously The Witcher. He was in Game of Thrones. He was in Vikings. He's been all over the place. So it'll be cool to have him on. People in the chat can ask him questions if they're here, and if I'm sure you'll probably have some questions for him as well.
Oh yeah.
He might be under NDA for Disney and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like, we may not be able to ask him everything, but I'm gonna just full disclaimer to him at the start. Look, if there's nothing that you're comfortable with answering, just say I can't say, or can't answer that, or whatever. It's all cool. Like, I don't know how far the NDAs go and stuff like that, but
I would assume it's anything not post production.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anything that's not physically out there, physically released, I think is usually how Disney play it anyway, for sure. But yeah, look, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a good cast. I'm looking forward to it. But look,
same here.
The reason why we're here, episode 2, Secret Invasion. What do we think? Talk to me.
Oh man, I say it definitely did do better. It definitely had some good moments. But it's still one of those things of I'm just watching humans interacting with each other. It's not necessarily being that interesting until it got to near the end of it, which is that's the whole trope with Marvel at the moment when it comes to these shows, is they really wanted to get us with the cliffhangers, and it's cool, but it's got to be interesting kind of throughout the whole situation as well, right? So this whole conversation between Fury and Rhodes was awesome. I really liked that. I thought it was enjoyable. It's nice to see two characters that we really wanted to see in the same table actually sit down and talk and have this whole conversation of where the fuck were you? What's going on with this? Why can't you do this? It's well, yeah, I can't necessarily. I should be arresting you right now, and you're actually fired. And it's fucking okay, cool. What does that do for Fury? To be honest, who gives a shit if he's fired?
That scene just made me think that Rhodey's a Skrull.
Yeah, at that point.
I'm kind of thinking it anyway. I've been thinking it the whole time. And again, that my thoughts on it are kind of skewed from rumors and stuff I've read. Again, nothing bulletproof, but just rumors that are out there and discussions that I've seen going on in the community for months leading up to this. And I really think that kind of solidified it for me. It's kind of the way he talks to Fury and stuff. There's no kind of respect, and he was just kind of talking down on him and stuff like that. And I was just kind of I know he was kind of throwing in lines I'm the only friend you've got left and all, but it's it kind of felt like he was kind of disrespecting Fury a bit, and
right.
It felt off. It didn't really feel like Rhodey,
Yeah, and it really also felt like he was trying to give him only one way out, which is very indicative of Skrull. It's either the Skrull wants to leave to take information, or they want the person to trust them as best as possible so that they don't have to leave.
Yeah.
And it just I completely agree with you. I think that he's probably going to be a Skrull. And what I would love from that is that later on we do see the real James Rhodes, and he pops in with his War Machine armor and he kills the copy of himself, and it turns into a Skrull, and then
something will happen where he might lose a limb or something like that, and then we're oh shit, he's a Skrull the whole time.
Yeah.
So something like that'll happen, because I kind of think from a real world point of view, I kind of feel we're not going to see the armor, and I think that's probably just down to budgeting and stuff. But then I think they'll actually write it into the story that we're not seeing the armor because this is actually a Skrull the whole time, and he obviously doesn't have the armor.
And that and I know that we've talked about it before, and I've always said just use the multiverse. Just use the multiverse as an excuse for everything. This is going to be that excuse. It's the Animus shit from Assassin's Creed. Anything you see in the game, any sort of glitch or anything, it's just the Animus. It's just the Animus causing trouble.
Yeah. So I'll be very honest with you. When I was watching this on Wednesday, I fell asleep during it, and
as you should.
I don't know. I was very tired after work. Now, look, it was a long day. I had a very hard day in work. I sat down to watch this after my dinner, and I actually nodded off for a couple of minutes. I thought I only missed 5 minutes. And I said to myself, oh, we were starting an hour late early. I'm going to go back and skim through the episode, and I'm going to just see what exactly I missed. And I ended up missing a good chunk of the episode, which was hilarious. And my girlfriend must have fallen asleep as well, because the two of us were kind of just we didn't miss that much. And then, watched whatever was left in the episode. But when I went back to kind of skim through it today, Rhodey talking to like the nations and stuff, which was kind of interesting. And then I liked the bit where Fury rang him on the phone and was just like, relaying stuff that he said in the meeting. So it's like, Fury kind of insinuating I'm fucking everywhere,
Yeah, I'm watching you, motherfucker.
Yeah, like even when you're in your hearings, I'm hearing what you're saying, like, which I thought was really cool. And then as well, the scene with Olivia Colman where she was like torturing your man. I was like, that was a pretty cool scene. And again, I missed that the first time because I was asleep.
Oh my god, dude. That, in my opinion, was one of the best scenes in the show so far because it was like, okay, Disney, you showed some blood. Yeah. You literally like you cut a finger off and you showed some blood. That was fucking sick. And I'm hoping that they continue with that.
Yeah, that kind of gave me a bit of hope because I was kind of thinking like, that was pretty, it didn't feel very Disney, like I was like, holy shit, like this dude's getting tortured. I was like, are they kind of dipping the toe in for a little bit of adult content, which
they're dipping the finger in.
Well, yeah, literally, yeah. But now they know, like, like they know that there's some pretty heavy stuff coming to the MCU. So I suppose it's like let's start trickling it in a bit here and see what people react like. Like I don't know what it's like for you guys, but like over here, like on like national TV and stuff, if they air something that's kind of controversial, like the networks will be getting like letters of complaints in and stuff, like, so, and it always kind of makes the news and stuff over here where it's like, like they might show something kind of sketchy on a TV show and then it'll be like, there was 12,000 complaints from last night's episode and stuff. So I wonder, are they throwing in a bit of that and seeing like, are people complaining? It's like, geez, this is on Disney Plus and someone's getting tortured and getting limbs cut off and stuff. So I haven't seen anything negative about it. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to see anything negative in my kind of circle of people, but I wonder, is there, parents with very young kids that are watching this and it's like, Jesus, when she was injecting him with that stuff and he was like, about to,
he was just burning up inside
to explode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like it's interesting for sure.
I mean, we have Deadpool in America right now. Like it's available. You can watch it on Disney Plus. So unless you have unless you have parental controls, like your kid's going to probably stumble upon it and watch it because it's technically a Marvel movie now because it's owned by Disney. Like anything Fox is now owned by Disney.
Exactly.
So
same
like
Logan. That Logan movie is pretty hardcore too.
But it's so good, and it's one of the things that we talk about all the time. Like when you see, the Batman, or even like Nolan North's like Dark Knight and whatnot. Like, yeah, there's not really blood, but like you can feel the violence as it's going through. Like you can feel all these moments. Like they didn't show that moment when like the dude like got his face cut or something and then dropped to the floor. But you felt that moment because of the music that was playing. It was like ding, like the stinger. Like it just fucking gets you. And so like Disney, if they're going on this approach, this feels very like Deadpool, like because like they'll cut limbs off. Like remember in Deadpool 2, he's like, I'm gonna pull you apart now, and literally blood pulling out when he's like getting pulled apart.
Deadpool, there's no holes barred. Like even first one was crazy, but like even the second one was the same. Like when he's in that bathhouse at the start and he's like just like slicing limbs off like butter with the with the swords and stuff. Like you're just like, oh Jesus, we're kicking off with it. Like it's going full 100 like at the very start of the movie. So yeah for sure. Oh, sorry, we just did the same thing.
Thinking the same thing.
That was hilarious. Yeah, like parts I didn't like about the episode. Again, to reiterate, I fell asleep watching it. So that kind of is negative in my opinion. Like a Marvel show or Marvel content should not be sending someone like me to sleep, no matter how tired I am. And to put it into perspective as well, I watched that episode. I fell asleep during the episode. So like the start of it was quite boring, which obviously it was just dialogue and, it just didn't really make much sense to me. Like the whole scene with the Fury talking on the train. Again, it was just like, 1 minute he's like, oh, I'm all for the scrolls, they're the best ever. Then it's like, hang on, there's a million of you. I hate all you, blah, blah, blah. It was just felt a bit all over the place.
It really
like, make your mind up, bro. Are you with them or are you not? Like, it felt kind of weird. So I don't know, like bits like that obviously just sent me to sleep. And to put it into perspective as well, sorry, like I ended up watching like 5 episodes of The Bear back to back after I watched this, and I was wide awake, fully committed to the story. Didn't bat an eyelid. I was like up till like 1 a.m. Didn't care at all. That this was on my day off when I wasn't streaming on Twitch, and it was just like boom, 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 episode. And there was like one left in the season, and it was like midnight, and I was like to my missus, "Will we do it?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, we got it." Like, and so we ended up watching the finale. So literally 5 episodes before that, I was falling asleep watching a Marvel show. So that's kind of, take that whichever way you want. But there was definitely bits I liked in the episode. I think episode 2 was better than episode 1. And then after rewatching the bits that I missed today, I was like, okay, definitely better. You know what I mean? Like, it was definitely better. I did like the bit. I suppose I did like the bit at the start where they got the flashback to kind of just after the Captain Marvel movie, and that's kind of why I used a young Fury in the thumbnail. Because I thought, like, I thought that was kind of cool the way they went back and kind of retold a bit of story from after Captain Marvel. And, like, you get to see, like, the start of the alliance with the Skrulls and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. But again, I was watching a Den of Nerds stream after the episode aired, and he made a very good point. He was kind of saying, like, while that's kind of cool, it's kind of bullshit at the same time, because, like, it's very obvious that they're, just shooting scenes where they're in empty warehouses and stuff like that, and there's, like, no care to put into it whatsoever. It's like they could have shot that scene up in space. They could have shot it anywhere else. It was like, it is very obvious that they're saving money. Like, and this show is blatant in that sense. Like, even to the fact where they go into where you actually see the Skrull base. Now, I'd say out of everybody that's standing in that room when they're walking through the room to go into where the scientist is, I would say maybe 25% of the people in the room were Skrulls. I was, I was expecting to see all humans, but at least they did put some in, but they should have had everybody in that room should have been a Skrull.
Right, exactly. Because it's like, it's very, a comfort zone.
Obvious.
Yeah, it's exactly, a comfort zone. Just have people.
That's your safety. Yeah. That's your safety. You come in from work, like, what do? You throw some comfy clothes on and you chill out at home. When you're at home and you're a Skrull, why are you still in human form? That's kind of stupid, right?
Dude, I take my shorts off, my shirts off. I sit, like, in front of the fan. I'm like, oh,
fucking right,
airing myself out. Yeah, exactly. Budget.
Chilling. What's up, bro? Welcome in.
And it's like, it's not the worst thing. It's just, it's obvious, and that's the problem. If it wasn't obvious, I think we would be fine with it. But, like, it's just, it's blatantly there. Like, we had basically what I said last time. We pan over, we see a couple of them just to kind of give you the illusion that, like, oh, they're transforming, and then they flip back, flip forward, flip back. Oh, all of a sudden everybody's a Skrull now. Everybody's like turned into themselves. Like, they turn into a human. It's like, are you guys committed to not changing back ever again? All right, we're gonna change into humans. And it's just so boring, dude. Like, that's what I really like about the comics. But here's the thing that's kind of giving the silver lining, is the fact that they are talking within that laboratory with the other Skrulls. And that's a huge situation. I don't know if you understood what was going on, but they are in the process, and I'm pretty sure this is the case. They are in the process of learning how to create their own Super Skrulls.
Yes. That was alluded to in the episode where you see Emilia Clarke's character searching on the computer, and she finds, like, the DNA of Groot and what was it?
Like a frost giant.
Yeah, something like that.
Like a frost beast or something like that.
Yeah. And we saw it in the trailer. The main bad guy, I can't think of his name right now, begins with G.
Gravik.
Yeah, Gravik. Yeah, we see Gravik in the trailer again, and he's using Groot powers. So it's like, we know this is coming.
But that's the most annoying thing, Finto. The fact that you said, what's this guy? It starts with a G. I don't remember his name. The fact that we don't remember his name from the get-go is the most, like, just like middle finger to us. It's like, we don't care about this villain.
Yeah.
The main villain is supposed to be the entire Skrull army, and you're trying to get us to care for.
I'm bad with names. To be fair, I'm pretty bad with names. And when it's a new character that I've never heard of before, and it's not like an easy, like, human name or whatever, I'm just like, what's that guy's name again? So, like, that does play a little bit into it. But yeah, he is a very forgettable character. And again, he's very new to the MCU. But for some reason, we're meant to give a shit about him straight away without any kind of real backstory. We got a slight bit of a kind of origin to him. It looks like his parents were killed and Fury takes him in. And obviously there's some sort of betrayal against Fury throughout the years of what took place in the MCU, or if it happened in space or whatever. But yeah, something happened between the two of them. I presume we'll find out what it was. But again, it's like, why do we care?
It's literally that, like, and this is what I'm getting from it. It's literally Gravik is tired of waiting.
Yeah.
So it's time to take over.
Yeah.
Gravik is mad. It's time to go to war. No, what it like, dude, that the way he said war is 100% a meme. I can't wait for someone to picture that and be like, I can make a meme of that. Because, like, to war, to war. And I'm like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
You don't need to act that out like that.
So I'm gonna put something up on the screen here, which came out like last year. It was like a kind of, I won't say leak, but well, yeah, I suppose it is a leak. But this came out last year. Check this out. That's Gravik. That's Gravik.
Okay.
Right there.
All right.
That's him.
This
was concept that was brought. The quality gets very bad if I zoom in.
That's fine.
So yeah, that was concept art that came out last year, and I think this was meant to be. Originally, I think it was meant to be around the end. I think it was meant to be a post-credit scene for a different project, but it's making a lot of fucking sense right now that perhaps this could show up here in this show.
Right. But the only thing I get from that is like, if that is like, even though it's a leak and whatnot, if that's real,
it's concept art for sure.
Right. But if it ends up becoming real, what drives Doom to even want to show up? Like, because usually the case is that Doom is either plotting things within Latveria, or he wants people to leave him alone so that he can do his own thing. So it's like, well, what is the point of him interacting with anyone unless he thinks that he's going to get a benefit of helping the Skrulls out, which I think would be a kind of good plot point for it. But other than that, like, if you're just throwing him in to throw him in, then you're giving us another Wakanda Forever post credit.
Chillin's right. This was the original. That was the original theory, and I believe it was officially shot but removed from the post credit of that movie. So I think they had a stand-in. They didn't have an official actor or something, and then yeah, I think there was rumors that they potentially did have the official actor, but then it was scrapped. But yeah, you're right. It was Wakanda Forever. I couldn't think of what project it was. Why would Gravik be in the post credit scene of Wakanda Forever as well? So it's kind of,
it's so weird. It just feels like they were cutting and trying to like mix everything in and try to make sense of it, but then it didn't make sense. So they're like, well, let's just make it its own thing. Yeah. And if we run into Doom in this show, I'm gonna be like, why?
Yeah. I think it is a bit too early for Doom now. I thought we would have I know we have technically gotten a Reed Richards now in a different universe, but I think it'd be weird to kind of put Doom out there now. Although, I don't know, I do like the idea of him being around and kind of just in the shadows, kind of like Fisk. Like, I really liked how when we first saw Fisk in the MCU, it was like flashback to 2007. So it's like he's actually been here the entire time. He's been in the shadows, working in New York the whole fucking time, and we didn't know. I really like that.
So Chillin's saying it probably wasn't Grabbing?
It does really look like him. Sorry. It really does look like him, though. Like it wouldn't be totally out of the norm for that scene to say happen at the end of Wakanda Forever, and we don't know who Gravik is at the time, and then when he pops back in later on, you're like, oh, that's the guy who was in the post credit scene thing. Like, that kind of makes sense, because obviously the Skrulls were doing stuff for years. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the whole point of Secret Invasion. It's like, a million of them have shown up in the shadows and now they're taking over.
Right. And they've been there the entire time. That's why they were able to dig themselves in. And so, like, in my opinion, I feel like Doom, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Doom is the type of character to not ever want to deal with this kind of stuff. He would absolutely hate that another race is trying to encroach upon the world itself. And so I would feel like he'd be more inclined to help Fury. And so, like, it could be that situation of maybe they're going to make Doom into a little bit of like maybe an anti-hero for a short amount of time, because ultimately Doom has the same type of motive as Fury, in the sense that like he doesn't trust anyone and that he will do it whatever it takes to make sure the planet remains the way it is so that he can continue doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, what's your take on that?
I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know which way they're going to intro Doom. I was hoping that, like, I can't remember. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of go down a similar route as they did with Kingpin, that it's like he's been around the whole time and he's been kind of influencing the MCU's path without us even knowing. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Right.
And then you know, a lot of people have been saying like, oh, with the whole Jonathan Majors thing and all now, like, why don't we just switch to Doom and just kind of follow the source material a little more accurately now, and let it go down the way it should go down as it did in the comics.
Well, you know what I think what should have been done in terms of the, like, you know how when they showed the screen they had the different sources of DNA. You know what would have been much more interesting is not the characters that we've already seen on the screen before. We've seen Groot, we've seen like those Frost beasts, we've seen like whatever that third strain was. Why couldn't it have been like Reeds? Like just straight up just saying Reeds, Storm, something like that. Like just give us like these little tidbits of like they have DNA of the Fantastic Four. They have
That'd be,
DNA of like,
yeah, that'd
you
be
know, these
wild.
different characters. Yeah, it would be wild because like at the same time it's an Easter egg and it's an indication that they're working on it. They really
Yeah,
are working on getting these characters into the fray. And then that's the best way to cement Doom to come through, because then he's like he saw maybe a Super Scroll using Mr. Fantastic stretch powers or Sue Storm's invisibility powers, and he steps in and he's like, "What is this bullshit?" And he's like, "We need to stop this immediately. We can't have these people having these powers like this."
yeah.
And that's how you bring him in, because then he's like, "I know what the fuck that is."
True.
God
True.
Emperor, ooh man, that would be sick.
I love the idea of God Emperor Doom, but then at the same time, I think it'd be nice to have him introed first and get us to know a character and an actor playing him, and then boom, he just goes God mode, like, you know, literally.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty sweet. I don't know if it's the right idea to bring him in and just, you know, because a lot of people, they, you know, some people, like a lot of people know who Doom is just from the other movies that came out, but they don't really know anything about him other than that. And then
Mhm.
it's like, you know, Fox have done him dirty in the last iteration anyway. Like, I thought that was terrible. So I suppose people are probably looking for, like, the MCU are looking for redemption, I suppose, with Doom. So I would presume that they're gonna try and cast properly, do it right, tell a proper story, get you invested in the character, and then boom, you know, like, then he goes full blown dark side, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I'm cool with that. It's just, I guess in terms like, don't ever give it to Sony. That's all I'm gonna say is like, don't ever give that kind of shit to Sony, because like they can't write a fucking villain story for shit. They can't write
Oh yeah,
a villain story for like peanuts, anything. Like
oh yeah,
like Venom is an anti-hero and they still fucked it up with Carnage. It's just, it's so bad, dude.
yeah. I know. Oh, want to see Doom go Predator on Thanos?
Oh yeah.
I've seen those panels from the comic. He just like tears his fucking spine out or something. It's
Yeah.
wild looking. Yeah, it's crazy. So cool. So
Dude,
cool. Imagine seeing that, because like everyone knows who Thanos is. This is the point I'm making. Like, you know, if you had someone like God Emperor Doom show up out of nowhere, and then, like, you know, in Battle World we have like a version of Thanos step up to him, and everyone thinks like, you know, Thanos is like one of the baddest men in Marvel. Like, you know, he's gonna walk through whoever this new guy is, and then it's like, boo, he just gets torn to shreds. People are like, what the fuck? You know, it's like, I don't know if you can do stuff like that. I think you kind of have to intro a character and build them up a little bit more before you just let them go crazy, you know.
right.
Although
Yeah, it's not like,
it would have shock factor though, that's for sure.
dude, you know what would have been the biggest shock factor? If they used the fucking comic, like the comic panel in which Thanos is pulling fucking Iron Man apart in half.
Yeah. Well,
But like,
they did Easter egg that in Endgame, because there's actually a shot, you can look it up. So he actually, in the middle of like a big like kind of battle, you don't even really notice it unless you're kind of watching it at half speed or whatever. But at one point he does pick Iron Man up, and it looks like he's about to tear him, and then I think Cap throws the hammer at him or something like that, and he lets go of him. But it was like they were trying to recreate that panel as a kind of Easter egg to people who read it,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, like, and like, but how cool would it have been though, like to actually have that on the scene, and just like him like struggling with him with the Infinity Stones, and then he's like, "I've had enough of you," pulls him in half, and then throws him, and then he's like, "I'm gonna, like, you know, this is inevitable," and does the same thing, but like he's like dying, and he's like, "And I am Iron Man." That would have been fucking way over the top, but that would have been cool.
Like, just his torso, like he doesn't even have any legs. I am
like
Iron
he's
Man.
just like sitting back, and he's like, "And
I was Iron Man."
I was Iron Man.
Yeah, that would have been like, I think if you know, the whole storyline of like Tony being in like because they kind of dropped off on that kind of story. You remember when there was like you'd see so many suits rocking around, but Tony wasn't in them. Like that used to be a real thing. That would have been if they were still kind of doing that with him, like popping in different suits and stuff. It would have been funny to do the whole tearing thing and thinking like, "Oh my god, he's dead," but then it turns out it's just an empty suit.
Yeah,
you know, yeah, that would
that would have been cool.
Yeah,
yeah, I would have loved that.
I suppose it wouldn't really have made sense because they hadn't really done that in a while. Right. You know, like Infinity War, Endgame, they hadn't really done it. Like I think the last time he kind of did that was Iron Man 3, right?
Yeah, I love the Iron Legion. That shit was fun.
Spider-Man: Homecoming. That's the last time I saw it.
Yeah, definitely when he was able to remotely control it.
Yeah. But it would have been cool.
Yeah, for sure. But other than that, so how did you feel about the sit down with Gravik and the rest of the like leaders? Also, before you step in, fucking Shooter McGavin not saying shit kind of pissed me off.
Love Shooter. I found it kind of weird, right? Because it's like all of these characters that sat in that room are like these big, massive, like world leaders, like the leader of NATO, US president, whatever the fuck. Like, you know, all these big hitters were there. Sorry, not the US president, but was he like who is Shooter in it? Sorry.
I can't remember his
he's like, a president of somewhere, but he's obviously not the US president because he's played by that dude who was in Friends. And obviously Rhodey's hanging around with him in the White House and all, so he wasn't there. But again, it was kind of like to reiterate a previous point. It was kind of as if we're put into the room with all these people, and we're supposed to kind of give a shit about all these people when it's like this is the first time that we've seen them in the MCU, and then it's like, oh, they're Skrulls. It's like, who cares? Do you know what I mean? If we've been introduced to all of those characters in previous projects, and then it's revealed that they're all Skrulls, you'd kind of be like, oh my god, you know, they're all Skrulls.
Mm-hmm.
The second they all sat down in the room, I was like, every single one of them's a Skrull, and I don't care. You know what I mean? Whatever.
What would have been cool is if they were actually Skrulls, like looking like Skrulls, and then when they got up and changed their faces as they were walking out, then it's like, oh shit, these are people in power. Like that would have been a big reveal. That should have been something that like they could have thought of. It's like, they're already taking over shit. Because like if you think about the comics themselves, like literally, like I think Obama is a Skrull in the comics.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
because it's like you know who he is, but it's like, you know, the American president, I believe, is a different guy than who's been the president before in the MCU.
Right.
You know, like the NATO leader, never saw them before. You know, and I understand obviously all these roles are very important in the world, and then it's like, you know, straight away you're kind of like, oh, these guys are all Skrulls, but it kind of just felt rushed or something. You know, I wouldn't have minded seeing a couple of scenes with Shooter, seeing a couple of more scenes with like the NATO leader and stuff like that, and then it's like, okay, yeah, these are all Skrulls. Yeah. You know, it just kind of felt a bit rushed. It's like they're all meeting up in a room and they all like just straight away just reveal that they're Skrulls, even though they didn't need to reveal that they were Skrulls. It was very obvious that they were. Do you know what I mean?
Because the whole fucking room was green, wasn't it?
Well, bro, I think every single person that we're seeing in this show is a fucking Skrull. Like, honestly, like I think Fury's a Skrull. We know his wife is a Skrull. We haven't even talked about that yet at the very end of the episode.
Dude.
So yeah, like that's a big reveal, obviously, in the MCU, which it got me thinking straight away about Captain America 2. Do you know where he's like, oh, you know, only like he said something like, oh, the wife kicked me out, and it's like, didn't know you were married, and he's like, only my friends now or whatever. So like they did kind of reference Fury being married before in the MCU. I thought of that straight away, but at the same time, I'm just thinking like, I saw a lot of people having this conversation online as well. Do you think that Fury knows? So there's two ways of really thinking about it. I genuinely think that everyone's a Skrull on this show. I just do. I really do. I think they are. I think we're probably meant to believe that this is the real Fury, but I really think that he's going to be like a deep sleeper cell or something like that. Like, you know, they're going to go down that road. So, and I think the way that they shot that last scene, we're to think that Fury himself doesn't know that his wife was a Skrull. You know, the way
that'd be so weird.
But like she was in the kitchen making dinner and she's a Skrull and blah, blah, blah. And then just before he comes into the room, she changes back and she's human again. And then, you know, he kisses her and all and blah, blah, blah. But I think like, you know, I think that's what they're trying to portray is that he doesn't know. But I think that he himself is even a Skrull too.
To be completely fair, I actually think that that's actually Fury. I think he actually did fall in love with the scroll.
So Fury's human, and Fury knows his wife's a Skrull, but maybe she's transferring back to human to kiss him. Is that what you're saying? You think that's what you think's happening?
Well, no, like if like think about it this way. If you have the ability to shapeshift so that you can like freely become yourself, but if you need to shapeshift in order to prevent people from like, let's say an intruder came in. You don't want an intruder to come in and like need information on Fury and find out that his wife is a scroll.
True.
And so
But
I
it,
think
so
I think
okay,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So you think that she potentially didn't know who was walking into the kitchen, so she changed?
Yeah, exactly.
But would she not have changed back then when she saw it was Nick, and if she was comfortable enough with Nick knowing that she's a Skrull, would she not have just changed right back? Oh, it's you, thank God, and then changed right back.
Maybe he doesn't like the light on. I don't know.
And also,
don't know.
true. And I wouldn't. I'd be like, "Can you change it to human, please?" Like, thank you. But like, it's like, you know, the ultimate kind of bag over the head sort of situation.
Jeez.
But you know the way that the Skrulls greet each other, though, they do the forehead thing. It's kind of like the Eskimo kiss, but they do the forehead thing. If he had known that she was a Skrull, would he not have done the forehead thing to her? That's kind of making me think that maybe he doesn't know. I don't know. Like I'm confusing myself here because I genuinely believe that Nick is a Skrull too, but maybe he's so deep in that he doesn't know he's a Skrull. It's kind of like the way that they told the Iron Man story, where he's like, "Am I a Skrull or not?" Like Nick hasn't reached that yet, but I wonder, has he been like manipulated to think that he's actually the real Nick Fury when in fact he actually is like a deep sleeper self Skrull? That's where I think it's gonna go.
That or maybe it's just like it's one of those things where like the Skrulls are everywhere and you have one infiltrating because like why not? Like that's your double agent right there. Like who better to get the best information out of someone than your significant other?
Yeah, true. But it's like, you know, at the start of when we see the first kind of transformation in the first episode where they were like transferring the thoughts and stuff, and it was kind of said like, you know, the thoughts and everything in your memories and all of the person that you're shapeshifting into, you get that information too. I wonder then after that, is there a way of potentially like blocking out the change in your mind so you genuinely believe that you are that person? So that's where I would kind of think like maybe they've actually done this to a bunch of people in the MCU already, and they've kind of made them forget that they're Skrulls so that they actually think that they're the real person, you know?
Okay. I mean I 100% get that. I think I'm still like on my end though, thinking that like maybe it's just a double agent just trying to get like, because you never know what they talk about. True. Especially if like she's never transformed back into a Skrull in front of him, then we absolutely know that like she's lying to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if it really is him, like that's just someone really trying to make sure that Fury believes he's not a Skrull, and then later on they reveal that he is a Skrull. That's still a great reveal.
Yeah, yeah. I keep thinking of that storyline from the comic where Iron Man is like on the verge of like insanity because he doesn't know if he's actually a Skrull or not. And I'm just thinking that's such a cool story that I'm just like, if I was working in the writer's room in Marvel, I'd be like, we need to write this into the show somehow. We need to do this some way because it's such a cool idea and concept. And I think Fury himself not knowing whether he's a Skrull or not, it would be a great story.
Exactly. And to be and like before we get to this comment, I want to say if we end the show and it turns into this I don't know if I'm a Skrull or not, but I don't care kind of situation, I think that will still be a great way to end it because it's like maybe we'll never know. Like it turns into that thing of like it becomes ambiguous. It's like it's like at the end of certain movies where it's like, did they do it? Did they not do it? Like what the fuck? Like we'll never know. It's like the Sopranos.
Inception's a great one.
Yeah.
You know, at the very end of Inception where Leo spins the thing and it's like, does it wobble or not? Like you don't really know. I love shit like that. Yeah. Yeah. Sopranos is another good example. What Maniac is saying here, I know some of the leaks, but I don't know when they happen and where they don't. So I don't know if I'm thinking of the right one that you're talking about, but I do know a few, and I think if they are true, I think yes, they're gonna cause some waves, and I think that this show needs that. because Disney need a save. I think, to be honest, like all these Disney Plus shows are just a massive fail, in my opinion. All the Star Wars shows are a massive fail. Disney Plus have lost like something stupid, like over 1 million subscribers. Like the streaming service is in trouble, and they need some fucking quick wins. And I think that they don't have any guaranteed wins until the likes of Daredevil and Punisher and stuff like that. And now, you know, there's some rocky information coming out about that even. You know, so it's like, where do they go here? Like, you know, there's so much crazy shit going on in the whole real world of like comic book movies and stuff like that. Like this year, I don't know if you're aware, but the box office for like the summer blockbusters is way down. I think it's like literally the worst year for box office, and this is like throughout all the companies and everything. This is just in Hollywood in general. I think this could be the worst year like ever on record. Like it's wild how bad movies are doing everywhere. Like I don't know if you saw like the numbers that were coming in for Indiana Jones. Like shocking, bro. Oh my god, like so bad. Like the movie was like 356 million to make, and I think they made something like 15 million on the Thursday night domestically, like, which is just a joke, man. Like I think that globally they're at like 100 million. It's insane.
Dude, I'm telling you,
insane.
It's not a superhero fatigue. It's just a shitty movie fatigue. Like it's just we're done seeing all these like corners that they keep cutting and not paying enough to the people that are actually working on the CG, not paying enough to the people that are like doing all this writing and whatnot. Because if you don't give them the motivation to like want to pursue this shit, like you're just gonna get garbage.
True. I think the true test of this kind of box office flop for me is going to be Oppenheimer next at the end of the month. When Oppenheimer comes out, if that movie, like, because I think that movie's going to be incredible.
It's going to be huge.
I'm going to see it day one. But if that movie doesn't perform, then there's something else going on here. Like, obviously, we know Across the Spider-Verse, I think today or yesterday crossed like 600 million globally, which is incredible. Great numbers for them. Yeah, great numbers for them. Like an animated movie hitting 600 million is wild. But like even like Fast 10, which like are the reason why there's 10 Fast and Furious movies is because they're just automatic money makers. Even Fast 10 was like released to digital like maybe 7 days after its theatrical release, which is fucking wild. So like obviously that movie didn't do what it needed to do. You know, we know Indy's doing horrific. We know The Flash was an absolute fail. Like I think 10 days after the release of The Flash in the United States, they were doing a buy one get one free offer to try and sell tickets to it because Warner Brothers were panicking. They were like, shit, we thought this was going to be an easy win for us. Because they like Warner Brothers are broke. They've said it. They're like, we only have enough money to release 2 movies in 2023, and it's the fucking Flash and Aquaman for DC. And then I think they're releasing Dune 2, which I think I think Dune 2 is going to be good for them. But it's like they're in trouble, bro. They're in big trouble, and I don't think Disney are too far behind now. Like there's so many failed projects coming out that it's dangerous times. Really dangerous times.
I don't know. Maybe we just need another genre that like we're interested in because I don't know what else that we could be getting into.
I think the normies are getting the superhero fatigue. I think that is happening to normal fans. People like me and you and anyone who probably listens to this podcast, we're gonna go see all the superhero shit all the time, no matter what. Like I will go see a Spider-Man movie until the day I die. Fact. Like I'll be 85 if I'm still around, and when I'm 85, I'll be sitting in the movie watching whoever the fuck is playing Spider-Man that year or whatever. Like, you know, I'm still gonna be there. Like, you know, guaranteed. I'll be taking my grandkids to go see Spider-Man. Like, that's just a fact. I know that. Like, you know, so it's just like I can understand why some people are watching show after show after show and just going, oh, these are getting worse and worse and worse. Like the ratings for Secret Invasion is the second lowest ever on Disney Plus.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, less than a million for the premiere.
Oh boy. I mean, like it makes sense.
Yeah. This show has to end big. I know there's rumors that it will end big and it's going to shake the foundations of the MCU is what I'm hearing. You know, we're going to find out some people are scrolls for a long time and it's going to affect the past movies that we've seen and so on, which is great because I think we need it. And I think this show might have some future impact, which will be good. So it'll have a bit of rewatch value, which is great for Disney Plus. But right now, it's not doing good. And to be honest, I think they knew it wasn't going to do good. And that's the reason why they didn't promote this show at all. Like me, like I fucking run a Marvel podcast and I kept forgetting that Secret Invasion was coming out. Like, how the fuck is that happening? Like, it's become forgetful. Like, I was like, holy shit, like, whoa, Secret Invasion's on Wednesday? What the hell? So now imagine, now, like, that's me a week out going, shit, that's coming up now? What the hell? How am I not seeing ads all over the place for it, and, you know, posts everywhere and promoted posts on social media and blah, blah, blah. You know, fucking 10 fucking interviews with Nick Fury popping up on all the talk shows. Like, why did that not happen? You know what I mean? It's like, it's really weird, really weird. So then imagine what it's like when it's somebody who kind of just watches Marvel because they don't really know, but they kind of like watching the movies because they think they're kind of cool, but they don't know anything about any of them. So imagine how someone like that is feeling when something like Secret Invasion pops around. We're 2 weeks into it. They probably still don't know it's on the air, you know?
Fucked, man. That's really fucked.
It's really, really crazy, man. Like, it's wild to me. You know, if you like coming off the back of Endgame, the highs that we were all feeling, like it was incredible. Like, you know, Marvel couldn't miss. Like, even movies that were considered shit now, like Captain Marvel and stuff, were still doing like close to $1 billion in the box office. Like, everyone was just in it for the long haul. And now it's like people just won't even watch this shit. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And, you know, it would have been great had they taken a hiatus. Like, I know that it's one of those things of like, oh, man, you can't stop now. You're riding up. You're going on the train. You're on fire right now. You can't stop. But this is what happens when you don't stop. Like, it's the same thing when you're.
They did the exact opposite of stopping. They went fucking tenfold with it. Yeah. Instead of going, like, you know, back around that time, I know around the time of Infinity War and stuff, that was considered a jam-packed schedule. Like, when you had like 3 Marvel movies in a year, and then the next year it was like, you know, we had like 2018 was like Infinity War, greatest Marvel movie ever. And then it's like, we only have to wait like less than 12 months for the next one. You're like, what? Like, there's another Marvel movie, there's another Avengers movie next year. You know, you're kind of like, holy shit. And then you had like Black Panther and Captain Marvel and Ant-Man 2 and all this stuff in between. And like, that was considered stacked. But then after Endgame, it's like Sony released Spider-Man 2, which wasn't great, but I still like that movie myself personally. And then the Disney Plus shit kicks off, and it's like WandaVision, Loki, fucking Falcon the Winter Soldier. And you're just like, there's something nearly every week for you to watch. Like, they just went way too hard with it, I think.
Right.
And then they stretched the budgets way too thin and blah, blah, you know, then the real world shit got in the way. Oh, we can't put Doctor Strange in this project because we want the focus to be on Wanda. And it's like, you know, we can't put Steve in this show because it needs to be all about Falcon. And, you know what I mean? It's like, you just deleted connectivity, which is the reason why we came to love all these movies.
Right.
Like, think back to when you were watching Infinity War for the first time. Like, I don't like the Guardians. I really don't. Like, I'm like, meh. I'm meh on the Guardians. Always have been. But when I saw Thor on that ship, I was like, oh my God, they're all together. It was just wild, you know?
Yeah, they were
like, holy shit. It was like Chris Pratt's talking to Chris Hemsworth, and like, you know, the two of them are bouncing off each other, and, you know, Groot and everything. It was wild. It was amazing. I was like, This is what it means for connectivity, like the connective tissue to finally pay off in a lot of senses. Like, and it was amazing. And now it's like we've just reverted back to just zero connectivity at all.
Right. And I think in terms of this, like they could have stopped making movies for a good, I would say like 4 years, and just stuck to shows, and maybe even just animated shows. Like, I would have loved that for them to just kind of create this mindset of like, okay, we finished the movie series. Let's do some shows. Let's just do like, you know, animated series for Iron Man, animated series for Thor, or even just like a brand new Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes season to carry on from that point forward, or like a reboot of it to kind of do like what happens after Endgame, so that we can get some introspective. Because that's one of the things I really liked about like DC movies as well, is because they deal a lot with the fact that like, oh man, you know, what about this? What about when this happened? There's still the trauma from like when Zod came by or when Doomsday came by. And like they do sequels and shows like spanning after that. And it's so nice to get that like little breath of fresh air of like, we're still kind of continuing. It's just now in like show format rather than movie format.
Yeah.
And I love stuff like that. And they are working on it now, but it feels like we're at a point where once we get there, it's going to be like, I'm tired, man. Like it's going to end up turning into that superhero fatigue, because it's like, you guys aren't giving us anything good. So what do we give a shit about like all the stuff from X-Men 97? I love X-Men 97, but like what if it's bad now? What if it ends up bad because we've been given
Yeah.
so much shit?
True. And like, we had like, again, like just to go back to previous episodes of the podcast, like I'll never like, I kind of, if I go back and rewatch some of the old clips, like, I can hear myself talking about like Kenobi, for example. It's like, this can't be bad. It's like, it's Ewan McGregor, it's Hayden Christensen. How can it be bad? And it's like, oh shit, it was bad. And then like, I said the exact same thing about She-Hulk. I was like, there's going to be like 3 episodes with Matt Murdock in it. Like, I don't care if it's the biggest piece of shit in the world. I'm still going to love it because I love Matt Murdock and all. And then it was like the Matt Murdock episodes were the best things of it, but the rest of the show was just absolute bollocks. And then it's like, oh, it was just so hard to watch. And now it's like you're hearing Echoes previewing really poorly. And I don't know if you saw this. I put it in Discord today, but one of the stuntmen who's working on Daredevil was saying that, like, he's like, oh, I think it's a really big mistake. Disney aren't bringing in a lot of the crew that worked on the Netflix show, and they're actively trying to not make it feel like the Netflix show. And he's like, I think this is a mistake. They shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, what the fuck are Disney doing? Like,
So allegedly
like
they're lying to us.
Well, like Feige's outright said that, like, they want to put a lot of focus on get Daredevil right. They want to get Punisher right. They want to do all these shows right. And it's like they're learning from the mistakes of like putting out too much stuff. Then they're slowing down. They rewrote the script for Blade. It seems like it's stepping into the right direction, but I don't know, bro. I'm scared. I'm scared when I hear of like people that worked on the Netflix shit saying like, they're making a mistake. They're not doing it right. This is like, they should be like, hiring more of this cast and trying to recreate what Netflix did so right. And they're actively going in the opposite direction. That shit really scares me. Like, really scares me.
It's so dumb because if the cast or the crew from the Netflix show are willingly going to like do the same shit just so that they don't have to put so much effort into trying to change it.
Yeah.
And they're refusing that shit. Like, what the fuck is your problem, Disney?
Yeah.
Like I don't like you're at this point. What I think about it, like in terms of this, is that Disney needs to stop thinking that they're a kids friendly like place. Like it's definitely 100% still like a haven for kids, but it's not appealing to adults anymore, and that's where they're trying to hit. And so they're like, well, let's try to hit both. And it's like you're not Nickelodeon, bro. Like Nickelodeon knew how to do that shit.
Well, it's like, do you want to hang around? Like, do you want your fan base to actually stay with you, or do you want them to move on? Do you want to continue making stuff for children, and then when kids reach 13, 14, they drop off? It's like Nickelodeon. Like I remember watching Nickelodeon as a kid. I loved it. There was some shows on Nickelodeon like Keenan and Kel and stuff like that even my dad would watch and laugh with us. Like, it's like they you're right, they did do some stuff great, but even you get to that stage, I think again for me it was probably around 13, 14, you start moving away from Nickelodeon and you start watching other like networks and stuff like that and moving into a little more mature content. And funny story about this is actually, I'll bring it up just while I think of it. I actually genuinely thought that this is how kind of naive I was to it, but I genuinely thought, like, when you're watching Nickelodeon and each ad, like each time they like break to an ad, like you're getting like ads for kids' toys and all this sort of shit. Like,
right.
I remember thinking like years ago, I was like, oh man, do you remember they used to just be like loads of ads on TV for toys and shit? Like, and that's kind of just disappeared. And for years I thought that like TV had changed. I didn't even think about it. I had never seen it. But then obviously when I had a kid, like, and I see him down at my parents' house watching like all the TV channel, like
all the new stuff,
Disney Junior and all this crap. Like, and then it goes to an outbreak and you see all the ads for the toys come back. I was like, oh, okay. So those ads were just literally tailored to these channels. It was like, like a proper kind of wake up moment for me. I was like, oh, okay. Because like I genuinely thought as it like fizzled out of my life, I just thought that TV changed, but it was me who changed,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and when you think about it too, like, I don't know if Disney has like do you remember Nick at Night?
No.
Like they had Nick at Night or with
that.
Really?
No, not over here.
So, well, what time did you go to bed? Because like that stuff was literally like
I remember Nickelodeon ending. I remember like you would watch a last show and then the channel would turn off. It would go to like we're back at 6 a.m. sort of thing.
Oh, like infomercials kind of thing?
Yeah, like, it would just be like a thing on the screen. It would just be like Nickelodeon is ended. It'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that is weird for my sense. Because it was nonstop, dude.
Yeah.
They were like, well, how do we continue this? Like, well, we do Nick at Night. So at 9, like 8 or 9 o'clock, they're like, hey, now it's Nick at Night. And then you get things like from the old school shows, like you get Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and stuff like that. And so like they were trying to employ those kind of shows from back then into like Nickelodeon, because they're like, well, that's for the older generation so that they can handle it. Cartoon Network had that with like Adult Swim. They're like, okay, so like all the kids need to get out of the pool. It's time for the adults to have their fun. And so that's when you get Aqua Teen Hunger Force and like the Mighty Boosh and you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like I would have like definitely like being young, like, you know, you could watch stuff like Saved by the Bell and Keenan and Kel and all that shit. Like, yeah, like, you know, I'd watch that now. I wouldn't care. Like that's stuff that just kind of sticks forever, like, you know. But yeah, no, I just think like Disney need to figure out what they really, really, really want to do. It's like, do you want to cater for all these kids that are growing up and, you know, they started watching the MCU when they were 10 years old in 2008 and now they're in their 20s? It's like, do you want to keep these people around or do you want to let them go? You got to make that up. You got to make your mind up. Like, right. You want to keep them around, you got to start doing a little more adult content. And I think that's what I really do think that's what they're trying. Like they're absolutely, you know, Punisher, Daredevil, Blade, you know, all these projects that are coming, we know they're coming, it's guaranteed. They're all very much catered to people like us.
Right. Guaranteed. And for a conglomerate that like definitely can do whatever they want, they're literally being punked around by the parents. Yeah. Because I know, because it's like you said at the very beginning of this podcast, like how many letters do you think are going to go out because of that finger cut?
Yeah.
Like, and it's possible. They're probably already got like a whole mailbag full of them, but we need that shit. Cause like, guess what? Disney Plus isn't just for kids. It's for everyone. I go on there every now and then. I try to look for something that I want to watch. They've got Deadpool 2. I'm going to fucking watch Deadpool 2. It's the uncensored version. Give me that. Like, I don't care. Yeah. I'll take it. 100%. Like, I love stuff like that. Now, if it was Disney Plus and it was all like, DuckTales all day, every day, it's like, well, I like DuckTales is cool, but like I'm kind of sick of it.
I'm not paying for it.
Yeah, like it's getting kind of annoying.
Yeah, facts.
So but like
that was the whole thing of the able to activate the parental controls. You know, right. my profile, like I have a profile for myself, for my missus, and then my two kids have a profile each, because like my son like has gone up an age bracket, so we put like the baby one back in under my daughter's name so that, you know, we have both. But, you know, mine has a password on it and you can't go into it, so, you know, my son can't go in and start watching Logan, seeing people getting their heads cut off. Right. You know what I mean? And
just like shoving claws into people's muscles and shit.
Yeah, exactly. But I can, and it's great, you know? So it's like, you know, why don't they just do what they're doing and just, you know, it's up to the parents. You know, right. if you want to really, you know, censor what your child is seeing, turn on the fucking passwords, restrict them, because Disney actually do it very well. Because I only had to, my missus had said to me like, oh, can you actually up our son's age, because he's moved into a different age bracket and he's looking for some older content, because like the stuff was very childish on it, and he wanted some older stuff. So you can actually go onto the Disney Plus web browser app, edit the profiles, and you can put in age brackets. So it's like, you know, child between the age of like 8 and 10, or like, you know, 5 and 8, or 5 and 7 and 8 and 9. You know, like they have all these different brackets, and then more stuff just trickles in to their account. But like one of the days I was on his account by mistake. I didn't realize I wasn't on my own, and I was searching for something in Marvel. And I was like, where the fuck is this? Like, I was like, why can't I find this? And like I was flicking through, you know, where you go through like when you go into Marvel, and then you have all like the different, like, you know, timeline order, blah blah blah. Most of the stuff was missing, and I was like, is the app broken? Because I was like seeing all the Groot stuff like just constantly coming up. I was like, is the app broken? I was like, what the hell's going on here? And then I realized I was in his profile. I was like, okay, the age. And then I went back into my own, and I was like, boom, there's everything.
Like, what the fuck? I don't want to watch the Super Friends.
I don't mind. The Groot shorts are fantastic. I love watching them. You know, I've watched them
good.
Probably 20 times, like, you know, but they're always on repeat here. Like, but I don't mind watching them. They're fun. Yeah,
they're silly. They're fun. So like thinking about that now, Finto, what I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but I really honestly believe that because you're a good parent, you don't understand why it's not that, like, it's like you can't, like the next parent can't do it because you feel it's easy, something easy that you can take care of. You give a shit about your kids. Guess what? The majority of parents do when they sit their kid in front of the TV, they go fuck off and go
they walk
like
away.
talk with other people, and they're like, yeah, whatever. Like he's gonna watch whatever he wants to watch because he's on the TV and he's gonna watch what I put on there.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fine if you put it on, but if you're like, here, you have access to this network system.
Yeah.
That has all these different like shows and whatnot, and you're not creating any sort of controls for it, that's your fucking fault. But
absolutely.
I really do feel this way about parents who like are that way. They think that it's difficult because they don't look into the settings and realize that it's that easy. And then they complain to Disney because they didn't take the time they didn't read the manual, basically. Like, and that's the funniest thing is like you remember back in the day, like that whole joke of like who reads the manual? Dude, I read the manual for everything now. It's so fucking helpful because then you know everything. You understand it. And when you get the parents that don't understand shit, those are the ones that are sending out the letters. Why'd you show why'd you show of someone getting their finger cut off by some shears? Like, because it was mature for the audience, and we felt like they were mature enough to see that kind of stuff. Well, my kid who was like 10 years old watched that, and he's traumatized by it now. He thinks that fingers could just come right off. It's like, well, whose fault is that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Did you see any of the stuff, any of the news coming out about Deadpool 3 during the week?
It's just, I think we already talked about one of them being that like Lady Deadpool's going to show up.
Yeah, that was so yeah, there's like multiple versions of Wade, and there's multiple versions of Logan coming, and loads of crazy stuff. But
yeah,
there was some pretty fucking crazy leaks that came out during the week. I don't know if you want to hear about them or not, but
lay it on me, buddy.
Yeah, I won't go too deep into it. There's a couple of videos. I might post them in the comments below, but yeah, some wild shit coming, dude. Like House of M shit coming.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently one of the rumors out there is that, you know, the way at the end of Multiverse of Madness, like Wanda kind of gets crushed by the mountain. It's the rumor out there is that she goes back, her consciousness gets transferred back to the body that she inhabited in 838. So the main version of her, the 616 version of her, actually dies, and then she apparently goes to 838, and like the Scarlet Witch then is technically that version of Wanda, and then it turns out that Magneto's in that world, and kind of like leaks that we've heard already that, you know, he kind of takes over the world and blah blah blah. But apparently they kind of do a House of M storyline with Magneto, Ian McKellen's Magneto, and like Wanda's going to be in it, which sounds pretty fucking insane. Yeah, big time. Like I think
I think that'll be fun. Yeah, for sure. Because like, at least give us something. If you're gonna use that universe, might as well use it for the mutants.
Yeah.
So like, by all means, like, because we're already aware that the Patrick Stewart of that universe is in fact, you know, Professor X.
He's now dead.
So yeah, he's now dead because he got his neck twisted.
Yeah. But yeah, like I don't know, like I think there was some actually, yeah, no, I don't know if I want to say it. The apparently the end credit scenes, like the post credit scenes for the Marvels leaked as well. I don't know if you want to hear them or not.
Yeah, go for it.
So apparently, first one is Monica, or which Rambo is it? Is it Monica
Rambo?
Yeah. Is she the one that's in the movie? Or is that the mother? Or Maria? I always get Maria and Monica mixed up.
I think Maria is the mother.
Okay, so Monica Rambeau at the end of the movie ends up getting lost in 838. And I think that they insinuate either that there is an incursion in the film, or that there's an incursion about to start at the end of the movie. I can't remember. But basically, she gets lost in 838, ends up meeting her mother, the version of her mother who is the Captain Marvel. and she didn't die in the movie or whatever, or she didn't die in Multiverse of Madness. So the two of them get to kind of reunite. Second post-credit scene is, I think it's Kamala. She ends up finding like Fury's notebook or something like that, and then Fury's notebook has a list of all of the active superheroes in the universe at the moment. And basically she goes and finds Kate Bishop, and then she's kind of like, did you, like, the two of them get together and they're kind of like, you know, fangirling over each other, like, oh, we should work together, blah blah blah. It's kind of setting up Young Avengers. And then it ends with her Kamala turning to Kate Bishop and going, did you know Scott Lang has a daughter? So like they're trying to put together the Young Avengers.
Okay.
Like a fully female team, but at the moment. So I don't know how well that's gonna go down.
I don't either, man, because like we, you know, not like there's okay, let me read. Let me calm down. I'm all for an all-female team. I think women empowered, like, that's fun. That's great. I love women that are superheroes. However, the groups that you usually see in the comics are a multitude. It's a mix of both because they are equal. They are on equal grounding.
Well, like sometimes the men are needed, you know?
Yeah.
The testosterone is needed. Like, you know what I mean? The first Avengers team would have been nothing without Thor, Cap, you know, all these guys who are big fucking buff dudes. Like, so if you have just a bunch of girls who are amazing, I love Kate Bishop. I think she's fantastic, and I really liked how they did her in the Hawkeye show, where, you know, where she's fighting the tracksuits and stuff, and it's like she's throwing punches, but they're not really doing too much damage. And all, I'm like, this is realistic because she's a girl. Like, you know, she's half the weight of these guys. She's not going to be able to throw them around. Like, that's just facts. So that was good. But it's like, if you have a full team of these like small girls, like Kamala Khan's like fucking 15 or something. She's a little tiny girl. I know she has the bangle or whatever, but at the same time, you know, she's getting knocked around in her own show. I don't know if she'll learn to use their powers more and maybe become invincible or whatever. But at the moment, it's very unbelievable that she's going to be taking down some big bad guys. You know, like if they do like a Kang variant coming after them or something like that, or Iron Lad, or, you know, whatever they decide to do, it's like, I don't really believe that Cassie Lang and Miss Marvel are going to be able to do anything like on the grand scale.
Well, let me tack onto that, Vinto, because I completely see where you're going with that. Like, I understand that you're saying that like the women would be considered too weak to go up against thugs and whatnot. But I also believe that it's mainly because they've never been mentored. And that's the big problem, is that if they're not mentored, if they don't get the training that they need, of course they're not gonna be able to overpower. Like, you see Black Cat. Black Cat can fuck people up because she's trained herself to do so. Like, Kate Bishop has never trained herself in close combat. Like, you know, neither has Kamala Khan. It's just very like this very kind of quick movement situation between them. And I think that that's the problem, is that they're not giving the required training to the younger generation as they should. Whether it's female or not, they still need training. And so, like, that's why Natasha's like one of the best fucking superheroes that you'll ever meet. Like, she has no powers whatsoever, but she is bad to the fucking bone because she could whoop ass. Like, she could whoop anybody's ass. It could be a big dude, it could be a small dude, it could be robotics, it could be whatever. She's got it covered because she has so much training behind her belt.
Yeah.
And it's and that's what matters most. When you see Thor had so much training because he grew up in that kind of situation. He was a brawler and he's had his hammer. Old. Yes, exactly. So he had so much training.
Yeah.
Iron Man doesn't really, like, at the beginning, Iron Man had no training, but because he had so much of his knowledge to like use the technology that he had. Yes, exactly. Kate Bishop, although she's not good at close quarters combat, she can fire a fucking arrow like
I liked how they did Kate, though, because it's like, you know, she saw the events of 2012, the attack on New York. She saw Hawkeye, who was just a normal human, like kicking aliens' asses, and she like idolized him for years, and then trained herself up, like, you know, multiple black belts, trained herself in archery and all this stuff, and then, like, obviously, but at the same time, she doesn't have the fight sense and stuff, and that's kind of what the purpose of the Hawkeye show is to kind of give her a bit of training in that sense. And now I presume between probably where we left her off and where we see her next, she's probably going to be training with the swordsman to kind of, get her combat even better. And
Yeah.
then, we might see Hawkeye back as well. But I think, like, her story makes a lot more sense logistically. Like, it kind of, you can believe it's believable. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, Cassie Lang, for example, it's like, where's
It's
she
be-
learning to fight? What's she learning
well,
to do? I know she's
it's
very
because
smart as well, but it's
yeah,
like, what
but
the
it's
hell?
because Scott didn't know.
Yeah.
And when Scott found out, he's like, you do this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you use this. Like you change form. And then when you're doing the punch, like you go into it and then you transform so that all the power goes into it when you come back. So it's like it's that pressure.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I got it. And then she figures out, then she realized that she had to do that. And then she's so excited. Like I love that scene, by the way. She's like, Dad, I did it. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that like a father-daughter moment.
Yeah.
Which I know you're gonna have with your daughter. You're gonna be like, oh my God, he did it.
Yeah, this is how he kicks up with ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I don't know, bro.
You could see the difference.
Yeah.
So
true.
like, and like you explained it well, man. Like it's literally like day and night. Like Cassie doesn't know how to fight, but she got taught on the fly and she kind of sucked at it, but like she was getting better.
Yeah.
And
it's not enough for the forming of a team and for them to go against, a proper Marvel villain. Like,
not yet. Because like, and that's going to be the big thing, Finto. I'm okay with them forming a team, but if they never had any training in between and somehow they're able to beat anybody that comes their way, I'm going to be pissed because that tells me that they didn't give a shit about any of the training in between.
Yeah, true. Very true. And then as well, like, you do still need some men in the mix, like, and I know I'd say they'll do.
It's just for the
like Patriot or whatever his name is. Isn't he part of the Isaiah Bradley's? Osborn? No, Isaiah Bradley's nephew or something. Isn't he called like the Patriot or something like that?
God, I can't remember.
He gets a shield as far as I know, and he becomes like a kind of a young Cap as well. As far as I'm aware, I can't think of his name right now. Patriot, I'm probably saying wrong.
Was it nephew or son?
I think he's Isaiah Bradley's nephew.
Well, I say Josiah. It's Josiah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he operates as Captain America.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but again, like I see what you're saying, Finto. Like it's not so much like you need the big burly men just because they're strong. To be completely fair, I say you need them just so that you have the mixture of differences. Like you have reasoning behind left and right. Like you can see from perspectives on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just like it wasn't just like an Endgame where like all the men were talking and none of the women could talk. It was mainly like Tony was pissed. He's like, where the fuck were you guys? We lost. What the fuck was that? And everybody, even Natasha, was like, we were dealing with our own battles.
Yeah.
Like, what did you want us to do? And he's like, I wanted us to win.
Yeah.
And it was a big moment because they were all so frustrated with what happened.
Facts. Yeah, when I hear stuff like this, I kind of get afraid that they're going too woke with some things, and I hope they just don't go too woke with it. And it's like, females only and, girl power and all this bollocks, like where it's, there needs to be a mix of both. There really does. Yeah. Like, I love fucking Wonder Woman. I love Black Widow. She's one of my favorite characters in the MCU, but you can't have Black Widow without having Iron Man, without having like all the rest of the Avengers. Like, they're all important together. It's a team. Like, to me, they all complement each other and make it for one true story. Whereas, if you had just a bunch of Black Widows fighting in New York against the aliens, you kind of be like, what the fuck is this? Like, like you need Captain America, you need the Hulk, you need everything, you need them all. Like, you
need icons. You basically need icons in the sense, because like, to be completely fair, Black Widow would have been a fantastic like movie had it not been for the shit plot. And the bad CG near the end.
And the actual time it was released as well. I think it was released 3 years too late.
Right.
That movie should have come out right after Civil War and before Infinity War. We should have seen that film. Or maybe directly after Infinity War, they went back and told that story. Do you know what I mean? Like it should have come out that same year as like Captain Marvel came out and Ant-Man 2. It would have fit perfectly in there if you went back and kind of told the story of how she got to there and we got introduced to Yelena and stuff. That would have been
Right.
perfect. The fact that it came out in like 2021 or whatever, like, because I remember we were laughing about it at the time. I was just like, I can't believe we're going back to fucking like Endgame and stuff like that again. You know what I mean? We're back before Infinity War again. You know, it's like, let's move on. Like, what's next? Like, we were like stuck in that timeline for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it makes sense now looking back because I remember thinking at the time, so I think Endgame came out in like 2019. And I remember thinking, like, why is it 2023 in the MCU now? Like, what's the point in that? And now, like, we're in 2023 for real, and we're still kind of in the aftermath of like Endgame still, technically. You know,
Yeah, it still doesn't feel like people have gotten over it. It's kind of
yeah,
weird, doesn't it?
but it's like
Doesn't it feel like
the story hasn't really progressed too much either. So
yeah.
we're kind of still, I believe, in 2023. It's not like the MCU's now moved forward like 5 years in real life as well. They're still, I think it's still like 2023. Like we've caught up in real time
Oh
to the
no, no,
MCU
no. We're
story.
ahead. I think we're in 2025, I think. We're always 2 years ahead in the show.
Yeah,
Always.
but in like 2019, they jumped 5 years real time, wink, wink. And like now it seems to have slowed down. It's not as if in 2019 it was 2023. So it should be 2028, 2029. And that if you were to think that they were moving at the same time is the point I'm making where they haven't. Yeah.
I got you on that. But I do agree with you. They have not let go of the fact that the blip happened. I hate that they called it the blip. I really hate that. Why,
What
like
would
they
you call
should
it?
have
The snap?
snap. Just
Snap,
call it
yeah.
the snap.
Yeah.
Like the blip makes it sound like it was a fucking nothing. Like nothing happened.
Yeah, true. Well, I suppose it kind of makes sense. When you now see people going and coming back, like that Yelena scene in Hawkeye was incredible, where you see her blip and then she comes back straight away, and you see the walls starting to change color and stuff. I thought that was really fucking cool. I thought that was just done so well, and it was like the first time you kind of saw it.
Yeah, so if people are just like just instantly coming back, then I can see how that is considered a blip, but that is also kind of a snap, like you snap in.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like I think snap sounds cooler in my opinion. Blip just sounds like something a kid said.
Yeah.
But yeah, like looking at the timeline for the actual MCU, we are currently in 2026, 2027.
Well, I'm looking at an article here, and it says 2025. So I don't know.
So then I'm partially right. Like it's a bit further. It's just it's weird, but I'm fairly certain it's usually like about 2 to 3 years ahead of what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just it's one of those things where like I really think that as we get further into this, like into Secret Invasion, I'm fairly hoping that we just get like the biggest fucking reveal ever, and it changes our minds about everything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like the biggest fucking oh shit moment. It just has to be good enough for us to be like, okay, we are back in the game. We're interested. Just enough for us to be like, all right, let's keep going. You somehow got me to be like, all right, next episode.
Yeah.
And like, because we desperately need that now, man. Like I am looking forward to the next episode. Well, when I first saw that initial episode, like episode 1, like that was like, God, now we got another episode to wait on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, look, I don't know if there's too much left to talk about this week, but one thing that did happen this week, which is I want to get your input on, is they cast Superman and Lois Lane for the DCU. What do you think?
I think that's great. I think that like the fact that they're moving forward and they have a new cast of Lois and Kent, like, or Clark. Fuck yeah, like give me. I'm excited for that because like now we can move forward. We can have a new Superman. We can have, so like even if it's a reboot or like I would love for them to just continue where they left off even. But I know that you've said before that James Gunn is kind of rebooting everything. It's all going to be clean slate. And I'm
It's
totally
not,
fine with
and
that. Oh,
but
really?
that's the problem. It's not going to be clean slate, and that's what pisses me off about it.
Oh.
Is he's keeping all of his projects, so Peacemaker will hang around, and maybe Aquaman might hang around, and I wouldn't be surprised now if the Flash hangs around as well. But
Ugh.
yeah, like Amanda Waller's going to be around. His wife's going to still be who she is, like within Argus or whatever. And then it's like, all the main characters, like we're going to reboot Superman and Batman. And it's like, but these guys have been referenced to or either in some of your projects, James. Like, what are you thinking? Like, that's what pisses me off. It's like this dude here, like a lot of people were saying this, and look, I'll show you this now, which I think is kind of funny. And this will tell you where the fan base really is, right? Because like I know these things are kind of funny and they're meant to be jokes, but people really think this, like the dude looks like Henry Cavill, and Henry Cavill like could easily play 10 years younger than he is if they really wanted him to, like he was the perfect Superman. Everybody loved him. Now you go and hire a guy who looks just like him, a kind of copy of him. Like, I love this. It's like when you want to get Henry Cavill, but your mom says you have Henry Cavill at home. Like, brilliant. 10 out of 10 meme. But it's like, that's where we are. That's where we are, dude. Like, it's like, it's tough for me to swallow it, because it's like, and like, if it was a true reboot, I'd be like, okay, fair enough. Let's just start again. But the fact that he's hanging on to things really annoys me. Like, he's talking about keeping, like, Amanda Waller, who was in Black Adam. Who else was in Black Adam? Henry Cavill. But you're going to have another Superman, but you're keeping Amanda Waller. Where's the logic? How does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, are they going to explain this? Is it like, are they using the Flash as like Flashpoint, and we're now technically in a different universe? At the people are the same, but most of them have changed. That, while it's kind of bullshit, at least that's a bit of an explanation. They better at least do that. That's all I'm going to say. Like, if they don't really explain anything and they just start recasting and telling different stories, and they have a new Batman and a new fucking Superman, but everyone else is the same, and we're meant to just believe that we're in the same universe. Like, what the fuck is happening?
I mean, when you think about it, though, like you see all the different Batmans from back then, and it's like, holy shit, they changed Batman at least 3 different times, didn't they?
True, but they were like, James Gunn mentioned that Robert Pattinson will still be around, but his Batman is Elseworlds. It's not the main DCU. Whereas this is DCU. We're talking about DCU here.
So that's making it confusing now.
Blue Beetle, which was made before the announcement of the reboot, is now being classed as the first DCU movie. So he's taking that entire movie, which was made in Snyder's verse, technically. You're like, in the trailer they referred to Batman. The only Batman that's alive in that universe at that time is Ben Affleck. So they're referring to Ben Affleck's character in that trailer. Ben Affleck's Batman is in, like, technically in that trailer, but this is now the first movie of the DCU.
Weird.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I really don't know. Like,
yeah, it's convoluted.
I'm scared. I really am. Like James Gunn has made some good movies. I really enjoyed his Suicide Squad film. Suicide Squad, I suppose, is kind of where his kind of style of storytelling and directing and all kind of lies. It's a bit goofy, it's a bit fun, you can have fun with it. But I'm scared with, like, Superman. Like, I don't think, like, if James Gunn starts writing shit and, like, we see scenes where, like, Clark's hearing people fart from 10 miles away and it's like kind of funny, it's like, I'm not gonna like that. You know what I mean? I just, like, don't think that that's Superman. I don't know.
Okay.
Hear me with me,
Hear me out though, Finto. Hear me out. Just one little joke. How can, okay, take this. How about like a scene where he's Clark Kent in the Daily Bugle and he, like, overhears them talking about Superman at the water cooler. Like a little joke like that. That'd be okay?
That's yeah, no, that's fine. That is fine. And I think like, like, even like the Dean Cain, like, Superman and Lois shit, like, back in the day, like, did stuff like that, and that was fine. But it's like, if they start doing, like, wacky James Gunn style shit, and we start putting, like, 80s music in, and it's meant to be Superman, I'm just gonna be like, oh, this doesn't feel like Superman, bro.
Finto, I will be clapping my my hands until they bleed if I hear, "Here I am, rock you like a hurricane."
Oh, stop.
And you see Superman do like the tornado attack where he creates an upstream.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, bro, I don't know. But yeah, look, I'm obviously, I'm a massive DC fan, so I'm gonna go in with the biggest intentions of enjoying it, and I just really hope that it does land well. I again don't have any really high hopes for it though, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm just the whole shit about him just not fully doing a reboot just kind of gets to me a
It,
little bit.
it baffles me too, because it's like, if you're given the reins, wouldn't it be cool to just be like literally like at the table, just
Yeah,
new plans, motherfucker. Here's the blueprints for what I want to do,
yeah,
and start everything fresh. Like that sounds amazing.
yeah. But
Because then you,
he wants to keep his wife in employment. He wants to keep fucking like Peacemaker, his show going. He wants to probably do a sequel to the Suicide Squad with his cast. So it just feels like, it's like everything that's his, he's keeping, and then everything else is like everything that's Snyder's. It's like, see you later. Good luck.
and that makes sense, because like that's his shit. Like, it's
It,
I
it,
get it,
it
but it's
doesn't
just,
in
it's
a
kind of
shared
fucked.
in a shared universe. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I know, but it's
If we
but
were in a world where none of this was connected, I'd be like, James, do whatever you want, sir. Whatever
right.
you want. But the way it should have gone, number one, they should have never announced the reboot until every movie that's in production or in post production has been released. Like The Flash has taken a big dive because of this. Aquaman apparently is going to be a shift movie anyway, but like the amount of people that are going to be like, why would I go to watch this now? Like this universe is dead. What's the fucking point? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and there's all rumors of him getting recast as Lobo in the new DCU and all. So it's like, is Aquaman even going to be the same? If he is, it's going to maybe be a different actor. Like, it's going to be completely different. So why would I waste $50 paying for seats to go see this movie in the cinema? Where it's like, I don't care.
You're saying the exact same thing about the 838 universe. I don't care about the 838.
But
That's exactly how I feel. I don't give a fuck about the 838. But I know you said
true,
something about the X-Men, and I'm like, okay, fine.
but that's
But
that's connected. Even like, it's not as if they're trying to reboot stuff. This is just
right.
still the MCU. Whereas now it's like we're bringing in new characters. Like if they did the A3 thing right, but then decided that they were going to recast Spider-Man, recast Thor, recast all these people, but keep a continuing MCU on, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that would be kind of odd. Yeah.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would they
Yeah.
do it? And like they're not even trying to, from my understanding of it, they're not even trying to blame the multiverse or do anything like that. How it would have worked, and again, I can't believe I need to say this, but how it would have worked would be if they didn't announce the reboot, they let everybody believe that Black Adam was going to have Man of Steel 2, and all this shit was going to happen. Whether it happens or not, who cares? Let the fan base get hyped. Let them think it's coming.
Yeah.
You know, they like Henry Cavill. I truly believe did think that he was going to continue as Superman. You know, there's a couple of people saying that maybe that was a kind of play to kind of strong arm DC into rehiring him and going ahead with Man of Steel 2. But I truly believe that he was genuine. I don't know. Some people think that it wasn't. Some people think it was a play. The Rock is very out there saying, oh, well, we wouldn't back down. We had to bring Henry back, and DC didn't want to do it, but we forced them to bring him back. But that's obviously not what you want. But at the same time, like Black Adam did better than the Flash and did better than like I think it did more money than like Ant-Man. It did more money than like all these movies, so like even though it was considered a shit movie, it performed. And the fact that they had Henry Cavill at the end, like if you were to say like, oh, Shazam 2 for example could be connected in the next Black Adam movie, and you're going to have like Shazam and Superman versus Black Adam, like that would have been fucking epic, bro.
Right.
And like, whether they do it or not is one thing, but let the fan base think that it's coming. Give them hope. Like Superman's all about hope. Give us hope. You know what I mean? That's what we want. And then let the Flash movie happen. Let a Flashpoint happen. And then, at the end of the Flashpoint, Barry's in a different universe. So it's like, okay, now we're in a different universe technically. Maybe now is the time to announce, actually, we're going to recast Superman. People will be pissed, but at the same time, they'll be like, okay, well, technically, we're in a different universe now. So it's open to different Batman, different whatever. Like, and
Mhm.
obviously we saw Clooney at the end of the thing, and it was funny, but at the same time, it's like, okay, Affleck doesn't exist here. Whatever. It makes sense. But now it's like, what are they doing? They're casting another Batman. So it's not as if they're using Flashpoint, because it's going to be another Batman. It's not Clooney. like they should have probably, if they were thinking about this like correctly, they probably shouldn't have put that scene in there with the new Batman, and then at the start of the next Batman movie, maybe shown the scene from the end of the Flashpoint and Barry meeting the new version of him. You know what I mean? And try and tie it in that way. But they've just gone completely off the rails. So it's like, are they going to explain in a different project that Barry went and changed the timeline yet again, and that's how we get the DCU?
Right.
I don't know.
So
it's so messy.
Right. It definitely is very, very messy. And I think it's because of the fact that they don't like to use the source material to a T. And that's one of my biggest questions to you, Finto. Like, how would you feel if they just 100% it and just went, yeah, everything that happened in the comics, we're just going to translate it directly to the movie and just make a movie entirely based on the comic that we chose?
I say it all the time, and I would love it. Like, if
I would love it too.
If they did the actual full blown Flashpoint, and we got to see like Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Thomas Wayne, it would have been epic.
That would have been sick.
I mean? Yeah, it would have been so cool. Like,
wasn't God damn it, Slade in Flashpoint as well, or am I thinking the New 52? Which one had Slade in an eye patch with his helmet off?
Oh, that was that Injustice or something?
Is that Injustice?
I can't remember. Well, like every comic, like every fucking Deadpool, or sorry, not Deadpool, typical.
Yeah, that's what got me crazy.
Every Deathstroke comic, like he's always rocking around with the helmet off and stuff. Like it's
really
very it's very common that you see that, because I've read a couple of Deathstroke runs, and he's always got the helmet off.
Well, then what's up with him mostly wearing the helmet like in the video games and whatnot?
It's just when he's combat ready, he's got the helmet on. He's ready to.
Oh, okay. So
are you protection?
So you're saying for like during combat he has it on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm probably confusing it.
The suit in the comics has like an intelligence. It's like it has like an AI. It's kind of like an Iron Man suit nearly, and then he's like a super soldier as well. So he's a very different character in the comics than he is portrayed in like the Arrow TV show, for example, where he's just a normal dude and the suit is just fucking hockey pads. But then he gets like a kind of soldier serum into him, and then he becomes kind of like a super soldier. But in this, he's like a super soldier, but also whatever serum he's given, it makes him like hyper intelligent. And then the suit that he gets is like an Icon suit or whatever they call it. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the suit has an intelligence, and he sees like vision. Like I think like the suit's AI is like his old partner who died. But he thinks he's still alive. And if you're reading the comics, you genuinely, because he sees him and everything, so you think the dude, his name's Wintergreen. You think that Wintergreen's actually alive, but if you've been reading it long enough, you know he's just a projection of it. Like he's an imagination. Like,
why isn't that a series?
I know that
sounds
cool,
fucking sick.
It's deadly, bro. I love it.
Why isn't that a movie?
I know.
Like that sounds like you could totally make it. Like I know that's a villain story, but that's still fucking cool.
Yeah, I know. But that's like really what they could have done with Affleck's solo movie, because it was going to be Batman versus Deathstroke, and then Joe Magliano playing Deathstroke. Like, and it would have like look, they had a very comic accurate suit, so I presume they would have probably gone down the road of actually doing this backstory for him. So
yeah,
I love Deathstroke, bro. His comics are amazing. They're really good,
dude. The like, you know how like, so I know we're doing Secret Invasion right now. You know how amazing it would have been if it was actually just a movie and we had all of the Avengers and whatnot, like different characters in it.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it in the first, like in the podcast about the first episode, about like when I gave you the whole like idea about what happened at the very beginning.
Yeah.
The fucking premise of that situation is the fact that like the Illuminati had already been formed. They went to the Skrulls where they were like hiding out basically, and threatened them. They said, you don't come to Earth ever or we're gonna fuck you up. And then the Skrulls are like, that's cool, knock them out. Then they do experiments on them to like research them, and then they ship them back on the ship with other Skrulls, and then that's how it gets so fucking crazy, because then it's like who's who.
Yeah, I love it. No, I think like, and it was actually funny because they kind of nearly poked fun at it in this week's episode, in episode 2, because do you know when Rhodey's like, should we call our friends, talk about the Avengers, and Nick's like, oh no, we shouldn't get them involved because you know that might cause some ripples or whatever. We
I
might
was
get
so
some.
pissed when I heard that.
Yeah, I know, but that's them going like, "Ooh, we don't have the budget for that." No, we won't call them. Oh, dude, it's so fucking
So
so
such like
frustrating.
yeah, big ass like always. I feel like every time like Fury's just holding a middle finger like off screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like fuck you fans. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. It kind of gives me a little bit of hope that they turned the Armor Wars show into a movie. And I think that, people are theorizing that maybe because they're actually going to get Robert Downey Jr. back, but he wouldn't come back for TV. It needed to be a movie. So they're like, shit, we need to turn this into a movie.
Yeah.
Because apparently, like, whatever they were doing in the writer's room, they said that the show got so good that they were like, shit, we need to make this a movie. And that makes me feel good. But you're dead right. I think they should have done the same thing for this. Like the fact that they've got like Samuel L. and they brought back Maria Hill for one episode or whatever, although she's credited for more. So I think she's going to show up next week in flashbacks or something like that. But, you've got some big actors in there. So I don't know why they didn't just go full blown with this and turn it into a movie. But then I think we're talking budgets again.
Right. But even then, it's like they had already set up the pace for that secret invasion kind of situation because they had the Kree Skrull War in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So like they could have referenced that. They could have said that the before Tony had died, the Illuminati. I don't know why I said it like that. I could just like they formed beforehand and went secretly to go do that. And then how insane would that have been?
Facts. Yeah.
I
don't know. I think it was, in hindsight, when we're looking back on it, it might have been a missed opportunity. I wonder though, and this will be the last question I ask you, I got to head off soon because I've got an early start in the morning. Do you think that this show is going to end on kind of a cliffhanger where the story is going to progress into a movie or into season 2, or maybe it moves into Armor Wars, and maybe that's why they're making Armor Wars a movie, because whatever happens in this show, they're going to transfer it into and put it up on the big screen for the aftermath of what happens in this show. Like, what do you like? Either what's your hopes or what do you think is going to happen?
I hope that the cliffhanger, like if they do come out with cliffhangers, I hope that the cliffhangers are large enough to where we can think about it even when we get into the next show.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I kind of want it to end. Like I don't like I'm feeling like they don't have too much gas for secret invasion right now. Yeah. And if they try to perpetuate that with another season, just like they're doing with like What If,
yeah,
like it might not do as well. Because What If can have as much gas as they want as long as they keep pumping out different shows for them to make What Ifs about. Because that's the whole point of that. For Secret Invasion, if they solve the fucking puzzle,
what's the point in continuing on? Yeah, like if they kill all the Skrulls by the end of it, which I don't think is going to happen. Obviously, yeah. Why would you continue on? But I think that what I think Marvel brought it up. Marvel Maniac brought it up in the chat. It's like, there's some wild leaks and rumors out there that this show is going to end on an absolute bomb, and like, it's going to affect everything we've seen so far and potentially things that are coming in the future. And I think that, we may have cracked the code. I think it's going to be down to whatever happens here is going to continue in Armor Wars, and I think it's going to be so epic that they needed to turn it into a movie.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm down.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Because again, I'll harp on it about it until they bring it back, but the connective tissue is gone. It doesn't exist right now. And, how we're watching stuff like the Kingpin being introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And again, that happened last Christmas. Was it last Christmas? Or the Christmas before last? It was 2 Christmases ago? It was nearly 2.
I think it was 2021.
Yeah, so, Kingpin has been sitting on the sidelines now in real time for like nearly 2 years. So where the fuck is he? Like, how has he not shown up in a project since, or been mentioned even in a project since? It's just weird, bro. Like, it's fucking weird. And it's like, there would always be in the MCU, no matter where you are. Now, I know there wasn't as many projects, so it's a little harder to do now, but like, you would think when big things happen, it would be mentioned in the next thing. You know what I mean? It's just, it's weird to me. Like, there's a celestial sticking out of the earth that it still hasn't really been mentioned, except for a tiny little article on the side of a website or something, or a newspaper article. It's like, what?
And why haven't, like, and I know this, like, I don't care if it's like just for jokes, but why haven't they at least done a short being like, let's do a tour of the celestial being that's like got his hand out in the middle of the ocean?
Exactly.
Like that would have been fun. Just like here's the exhibit for this. Here's that. Like that would have been cool. Just like what do you think it could have been? And then you get like maybe a little cameo for like a cliffhanger of like, oh man, the Eternals are still around. They're gonna come back or something. Or give us something.
Remember the bullshit fucking after credit scene that was at the end of Guardians 3? Like, you magnify that end scene by 10 if Peter Quill looks at the news and sees a celestial sticking out of the earth and just goes, "Oh, my dad was one of them," or I used to be one of them. You know,
right? Yeah,
I'm half celestial. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, do something, make it matter, make it connect. It just drives me fucking mad, bro. I don't.
Then his grandpa's like, "What? What did you say?"
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, the two of us sitting there eating cereal, having a bullshit conversation, and then it just ends. It's like, you know, why was he not sitting at the table eating cereal? And then, like, you know, there's TV's on in the background, and, you know, breaking news, there's an alien sticking out of the earth. And then, you know, Quill sits up, that's my fucking jam, walks over and goes, Jesus, that's my uncle there in the coming out of the ground. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they could do something stupid like that. Like, it's like,
right.
It gives it importance and it connects it together. Like, bro, I don't get it.
Dude, but I gotta say, man, just like that finger that was cut off, like we have no connection anymore.
Yeah, true. All right, on that bombshell note, I'm gonna end it for the night, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out, and this is for the past 100 episodes. Anybody who's been here for the first 100, big shout out. By the time we get to the next 100, let me know if you're still here as well. I'd love to know. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the like button, leave a comment below if you're listening to us on a replay. Let us know what you think of the whole DC situation. Are you liking in Secret Invasion, all that usual stuff. And yeah, we'll see you next week, guys, for episode 3. Bye-bye.